Okay, today's lesson we'll be dealing with the first chapter in the textbook, Strayer, that we'll begin reading when school starts. The first part of Strayer is First Things First, Beginnings in History. Well, this will take us to 500 BCE, which is before the Common Era. So that's not after, year one, Common Era, which we'll explain a little bit more in class. But this is kind of prehistory in this part. And we'll look at the first peoples, those who populated the planet in chapter 1 to 10,000 BC. So this is a real quick chapter, and I'm going to flip through it. I think some of the concepts are interesting. They are not always utilized, these concepts and these objectives, not always utilized on the AP test as much. But I think they set up a really important discussion. And the science, the social science behind history, is where you'll find a lot of discussion and talk about that here, especially when it comes to finding out our history when we don't have written word to go on. So that's what we'll see here. We'll come back to this image in a little bit. There's your woolly mammoth and early peoples who are, looks like they're searching for dinner. I guess this would be their version of getting a Big Mac at the drive-thru. Often I have students that get very confused and believe that what we're going to study during this time period, which is around 10,000 BCE, has to do with Pangaea or has to do with our wonderful, awesome friends called the dinosaurs, and that is not this time period at all. If you see, if you look at the maps here, gives you a pretty good look at the theory of Pangaea, which has some good scientific proof. We'll look at it in a second, but it is a theory of how a singular continent spread out and formed a larger area. So Pangaea is that one continent at the top. 225 million years ago. Goes through the Jurassic period, something you're more familiar with, the Jurassic period, which is right down here. And we got the Cretaceous period, and then present day. Part of the reason that scientists believe that this Pangaea effect happened was you can see some evidence of fossil evidence of the Jurassic period, the land reptiles here, the fossils of ferns and plants here, fossils of freshwater reptiles there, and fossils of the Jurassic land reptiles here. And look where they stretch across South America to Africa. They kind of fit like pieces of a puzzle. It makes some sense when you look at the map. I think logically it seems to make some sense. Another way that's real interesting, this is the formation of North America, which I find to be pretty fascinating. So this will play through here for you. We'll discuss it a little bit as it's going through, and I'm going to probably fast forward a couple times if I can, but this is showing you, in the middle of the screen says Cambrian period, so that's where we're at right now. You'll see as this comes together, it's going to form the continent we know of today called North America. And I know it seems weird because it looks like that's North America right there, doesn't it? But it's not. This will be forming what we know today as, anybody want to guess? Guess? Anybody? Pretty elevated area towards the west. Yeah, that's looking like where the beginning of the Rocky Mountains would be. And over here, that definitely, to me, as someone from Pennsylvania, that definitely looks like the beginnings of where the Appalachian Mountains are. Now, this would be kind of cool if this happened today, because look at all those nice Hawaiian islands we'd have to visit. What you're going to see is real interesting. That's why I like this so much. You don't see a landmass form like it's going to right there and then stay there. This is the Mississippian period, which I think is pretty cool. Guess what's coming up here next? The Pennsylvanian period, which is where I'm from. There's my hockey team, the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I guess they call it that because Pennsylvania kind of does take form some. But look what happens. You get some water levels change. You get sea that kind of invades some of that land that had formed and takes over. You have really, really low lands, and as the water level and ocean level changes, you can see there's some definite differences. There's the Permian period, which I guess you could think of as, West Texas Permian, the Triassic, and here you are just about into this period called the Jurassic period. That's the fun Jurassic Park that everybody thinks of, and I'm sure there's no way we could ever create a real Jurassic Park out of like real DNA. There's no way that could ever happen. Stay tuned. I think at this point we're getting real close to present day, because only 150 million years ago you're starting to see it. There we go. That looks an awful lot like North America now. Florida is starting to form, but look what happens. Ice sheets appear. They're in the Cretaceous period, and you can see them coming in, kind of fading in, and then fading out. These ice sheets are encroaching and then receding. You've got something forming here. I wonder what will happen in this area here. I wonder if there will be any Great Lakes forming in here. You get the Mississippi River Valley, and look, we were underwater for most of this whole time. It looks like Houston's going to form right about there. We're getting really close into the time period that we would be today, right there. So you can see it right here. That's North America, and it's almost formed. Look, the water levels are still forming in here. There's the Mississippi forming, and if we play it a little further, what was that? That's the last ice age. That last ice age comes down and carves in. Now, when does the last ice age happen? Pretty recently. We looked at this. This was the entire history of North America as its formation began. And let's see if we can stop it again. There we have it. There's North America all built out, even with Alaska. And it does say here future, which means what? We're not there yet. Could the land and continents potentially change? Absolutely. They change all the time. You have tectonic plates moving and all those kinds of geography things that you learned about last year. And that's it. Let's pop this down and move on to the next slide. You get the idea there. Most students at the beginning here go, oh yeah, remember when like people were riding on dinosaurs, and that's not exactly what was going on. So all right, stop, pause.